Oh, Bryce won't be able to come. Has dad stuff.
Okay, just checking.
He has some questions up here, though.
Yeah, he had some good questions that I was thinking of asking, and he already got them.
Yep. Oh, we can just steal it from him.
Oh, we were supposed to plan ahead?
Yeah, you're supposed to do homework. Supposed to write an essay about what your character learned on the adventure.
What campaign was this for again?
Moral lessons. Oh, the one we weren't. I went to the moon and fought moon dragons.
Moon dragons, and we fought over space rocks, and
yeah,
it was great.
Fun. Your character was just so violent, and
I was amazed at the bloodshed that you spilt.
Actually, this is the legendary Frogcast. I am your host, Joseph Blanchett, and this is another crossover with our D&D podcast. Legendary Frogcast play D&D together. And usually when we finish a campaign, I like to do a little review podcast with the players. For the smaller ones, it's usually just me talking in a solo podcast. But this time, I just wanted one more session with the players. We didn't spend hardly enough time together. So when we finished our Dragons of Stormwreck Isle campaign, I invited them along for the review podcast. So with me is Super Bunny Bun.
Squeaky.
And returning, first time on the podcast, was in a D&D game last year called the Sullen Citadel. We have ShortStack.
That's me. Hi.
And a voice you've probably heard in some Legendary Frog cartoons. We have Miranda.
Hey.
Hey, you did the voice of Lindsay and Nova for us.
Yes, I did.
Wonders of the Universe. And you joined us for this D&D game.
Sure did. It was great.
Oh, well, podcast over. I guess that's what we did.
You weren't coerced at all.
We also had Bryce, who's a regular on the D&D podcast, on the D&D games, but he has dad stuff to do, so he couldn't make it this time. But he's with us in spirit. I shall do his laugh, and his mannerisms. So it's like he's here.
Aww.
All right, so
I summoned 7 wolves.
yeah, that's the thing with him. I'll never forget the time where it was kind of the first time I had a mini boss, and he went, I got this. So I got this new ability. Summon animal. I'm going to summon 16 wolves. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm going to summon 16 wolves. And I was like, okay. And of course, all the wolves kill the boss in one turn.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep. And I've said this before, but that's when I learned he doesn't get to choose. I get to choose. So technically, if I wanted to, I could say you summoned 16 ants. There's nothing against the rules say I couldn't do that.
Hey.
So yeah, he is no longer allowed to have any summon spells, much like how I'm not allowed to have fireball.
Yeah, whenever we did that in the future, is much more reasonable. Because like I said, hey, you can probably summon 1 or 2 big animals, but no with the 16 wolves thing. Anyway, a few weeks ago, we started the new starter set game, the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. It's the third starter set that 5th edition's had. I know I've ran both of the other ones, and I said, well, it's kind of tradition now after run the next one. So I got some newer players and some returning players, Miranda being the newest player. Have you had any experience with tabletop games for this?
Very, very little. I actually did a one-off evening thing with, I'm not sure you'd even call it D&D, but it did involve dice and character sheets.
I mean, it's tabletop roleplay, definitely.
Yeah.
And a ShortStack, I know you played a game with us, but you're pretty newer to D&D as well, right?
I wouldn't say new, but I would say novice.
Yeah.
I'm still not familiar with all of the rules. I've played with my friends on their Twitch stream before, but I'm still learning.
hmm And Bun, you played first edition, so that's how old you are.
Yeah, that's me, the old guy.
So where do I start with this? I guess the first question for the newcomers, this being a starter set designed for new players, did you think that this was a good introduction to D&D that kind of eased you in to what the game could be? See, I'm asking you questions here. You didn't think this was going to be an interview. Like, did you feel at any point feel like overwhelmed? Like, oh, this is a little bit too much for a brand new player?
I
Things
think it
like that.
was really nice for an intro, if a bit short. Um, it it was pretty easy. I mean, it took brain function, of course, but this is just from my perspective of having played before, though.
Mhm.
Miranda, I'm sure you have more insight to this.
Yeah, like I know you were kind of learning, kind of as we went. Um, but at any point, did you think like the adventure itself was like too overwhelming for a new player, anything like that?
No, and I especially appreciated the kind of not entirely pre-made, but pretty much pre-rolled characters. That was helpful because I'm sure that would have been completely overwhelming just to see the entire list of options. Kind of
Yeah,
having
in
a
your
general shape
case,
there. Yeah.
yeah, in your case, I was like, I think you should probably do one of these pre-generated characters. It has everything you can do right here on the sheet.
hmm
You know, you don't have to worry about with Monk, you have these like key points you use. Don't have to worry about any of that. Um, but you did mention that you thought it was a little short, and I kind of agree with you. I kind of wish this adventure was a little longer.
You just got our groove going.
Yeah,
Yeah, it feels like we just got going, we just got used to each other, and then it's over.
I can imagine that if a group decided to like speed run it without much in the role play, they could probably have finished the entire thing in like 6 hours.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
yeah. One thing I was kind of thinking, yeah, right when we reached level 3, and everyone got their fun new abilities, their subclass, like that last area really isn't that long, and I was like, oh, you only spent about 2 hours actually at level 3,
Yeah.
and that was a little disappointing because the other star set was like to level 5. It took us about 15 sessions to do that one, um, and then the one that Bun was a part of when we started the podcast, that one lasted like 16 or 17. That was a
Oh,
long one.
dang.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Be nice. I'd love to play with you all again.
And this one seemed it seemed similar to how Adventure League works, where each session is intended to be like a single quest, and
Yeah.
after the end of every quest, you end up getting a level up, and not intended for a long-term campaign kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. They even had Adventure League rules for this, and it basically said, yeah, every chapter is a level. Um, did you think that it felt a little disjointed? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, one quest, you're saving mushroom people. The next quest, you're in a sunken ship, and then you go to an observatory and fight a dragon. Do you think that the narrative that was kind of told in Dragon's Rest was like it made as a cohesive story throughout?
Hmm. I don't know. Everything happened so fast. I would have liked to have more time to feel it out. Like oh gosh, I need to think of an example. Somebody else take this up.
I do wonder why it took her almost 5 days to point out that somebody wandered off and hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It also now it was difficult to tell from all of the maps of like, was this pretty much a dead island or was there like
Yeah.
landscapes to it? And
Yeah, because the map was all rocky and mountainous.
yeah. So if there was nothing on the place except for a cave and shipwrecks and what
Yeah.
used to be a lighthouse, then I could understand not having much in the way of exploration of the island because
Yeah,
you pretty
there's
much just
hardly any.
circled around it all the time. But
Yeah, there's been some criticism against some recent 5th edition books that like the writing and stuff isn't quite up to par. There's not enough connective tissue between events that happen in the book. In this one, I kind of got the impression that they got like 4 different people. They said, "Okay, write a little adventure that'll take about 2 or 3 hours to do, and we'll figure out a way to connect them." That's kind of what I got the impression of.
Yes.
I think it was just missing a bit of filler or like subquests or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
little things to run into apart from the owlbear, which we'll bring up in a minute. But
I was going to
but I
say,
think-
what does the owlbear have to do with anything?
Right? And
He's a
I would
Stormwreck.
love to know that's after story. Did somebody come and take it and train it and
He used to kind of live
give
there.
it scritchies?
Yeah, so there were quote unquote random encounters in the little book. There's only 3 of them. The first one was supposed to be you're ambushed by kobolds, and I was like, well, I don't want to run into more kobolds. There's already enough in this story. Plus, you're thinking the ones that dragons rest are your friends, so you don't want to like go and kill some evil ones. I kind of want to keep them separate like that. So that's when I thought of the cultist and the pseudo dragon. That was not in the adventure.
Yeah, that was my question, was how did you come up with the pseudo dragon? And also it was adorable. I loved Cranberry.
Well, how did I come up with it? Well, I'm just a genius, a narrative genius.
Obviously.
No, actually, I was thinking, okay, this is the dragons of Stormwreck Isle. There's not enough dragons, so I'm going to add a cute little one. That was
Yay.
basically my thing. The other encounter is, I think I mentioned this at the end of the game, but you run into a hot spring where a dragon has died, and some of those like steam dragon elementals were there. But it was super similar to the thing in the cave. So I was like, well, this is kind of boring. And then the owlbear. So there was only kind of 3 little encounters to do. And they all seem kind of repetitive to what you do in the adventure in some ways.
I like that the owlbear it gave a good example that you don't always have to murder everything
Yes.
to get through. Though it seems like that there was a storyline that had already taken place there, and we wandered into the aftermath.
I think the idea was like a circus ship like crashed on the island.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, there was a crash, everybody died, and we got
except for the owlbear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
like I said, this
outfit and everything. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, it's like had the circus stuff on. Yeah, that's why this is just from the adventure itself, because like playing D&D with friends is always a good time, and they like make it like super fun. But yeah, this is kind of a short adventure with not a lot to do in between. What I like about The Lost Mines of Phandelver, which was the first star set, is it kind of gives you a glimpse into every aspect of D&D, which I think maybe you guys would like to play sometime. You and ShortStack and Miranda, I think you would have fun with that one.
Absolutely.
Like if I could find the time to maybe run that, I might do that again. But it like you start off with like a little like dungeon crawl. We didn't have a lot of like dungeon crawl in this game, but then it goes into a town where you get side quests. And you actually get side quests, like just optional things to do. But then you have these these other areas which seem a little separate, but they all have a common theme among them, that they're all working for like a big bad guy. And that's when it concludes with like the last area of the game, and you really felt you worked up to it. Like you found all the secrets, you found this location, like, and now you're ready to tackle the bad guy you learned about. And the downside to this chapter-based thing is, like we mentioned before, like the book doesn't even mention the King Killer Star until the last chapter. And I was like, oh, I need to make sure the players know there's kind of a ticking clock that's kind of happening here. But there was nothing to give a hint about like the evil wormling trying to harness this power. Like you have to save that until you actually get there. It never mentioned the bronze wormling, so I kind of stuck it in there earlier that one of the kobolds missed him. But it seemed weird that Runara was just like, it's like, yeah, my apprentice disappeared, probably got himself killed, but let's have a nice discussion about other things.
Yeah, I guess there wasn't quite a ramp up to the end boss.
Kind of.
There was mention of the blue dragon from ages past, but nothing.
You didn't even
about
learn that until the last chapter, like when she finally revealed herself.
Yeah, so it's like the end section almost felt like just another module section.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was kind of like, why are we fighting him all of a sudden? We just got here.
Yeah, I think the idea was that Runara is just kind of secretive, and since she's like thousands of years old, she just learned to like keep stuff to herself, which was kind of my take on it.
Well, she is a dragon.
Yeah, she is a dragon too. But then, like, why didn't anyone else mention anything? It's like, yeah, we had a few guests that kind of wandered off and never heard from again. They seem awfully calm about it.
Well, at least with the kobolds, it's like they wouldn't really consider like, well, you know, isn't it obvious? Or well, you didn't ask.
Mm-hmm. So one thing with the pre-made characters, which I liked, is they gave each character a purpose to come to the island, and kind of each one kind of ties in with one of the areas you go to. And Miranda, with yours, is kind of more of a not connected to any areas, but to an NPC of the game. So this is where you kind of, I think, altered it to your own liking, which is good. That's what you're supposed to do in games like this. But the adventure sheet said like you're after treasure that you think this guy has stole. But when you actually got to the point of confronting him, it was actually about like how do you leave the life of crime, because your character was part of like a thieves guild. What made you decide to change that little aspect?
I think it just came out of talking with you. Like, to be honest, it wasn't until after that session that I was like, oh no, was that the truth? Should I have like rolled to see if it felt like he was lying, or because I wasn't sure if there was going to be more to it than that.
I remember like one of the first couple sessions, you were like, I don't know how to do this. Like, what am I supposed to do? I was like, no, it's like, don't worry, I'll give you the opportunity. But like, I kind of got the feeling that you're trying to. I think you said you were trying to play too much like a video game, like trying to find clues and.
Yeah, I was just like I was prepared to be like, do I need to get a hint from him? It's like where he would have stashed the stuff, or.
Mm-hmm.
And I also felt a little bad that nobody really knew why I was there because I didn't say it.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. Like, deep down, we all kind of know we're just here to play D&D.
That is true. But yeah, I wouldn't have said this out loud if they asked what I was here for, so I won't.
Yeah, so like that's one of my rules of games I run. You as a player are here to play D&D. Unless you have a really good reason, your character is going to do what the plot says.
Something that I've always I've always questioned for a long time that if at least with with rogues anyway, it's why would you tell anybody that you're a rogue or what your actual intentions are? So because the moment that you find out, oh, you're a thief, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep trusting you.
Yeah, that's why I hate like the edgy rogue character. I guess because I maybe heard too many RPG horror stories, excuse me, about like edgelord characters. But they're always like, "Yeah, I'm too cool to think this is a good idea. I'm gonna steal all your gold when you're not looking." And they just go against what the players are trying to do all the time. It's like that's no fun.
Yeah, but essentially, that you don't have to tell everybody in the party what your true objectives are, especially if there's something that we would end up questioning the motives for and such.
Yeah.
So keeping secrets to yourself and away from the party is perfectly okay, depending on what they are and such.
Yeah. So the way I play that NPC is like when he finally started confronting about it's like, hey, you used to be part of this thieves guild. I was all ready to be like, oh, you tried to kill me, huh? Trying to steal me treasure, trying to do that. But you're like, oh no, I want to just know how you did it. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of refreshing. It kind of fits in with the theme of this module a little bit of how Runara like did something violent in the past and is trying to repent for it.
Oh, that was more along the lines of like, I would have no way to combat this guy. I had 0 combat skills. So like, no, we're good.
He wasn't going to fight you, but it was one of those cases where it's like, when he's confronted about it, he would have said like, I lied, there was no treasure. It was just a way for people to get off my back. Like, search for the treasure, not me, you know?
I buried it all in one piece.
Split it up into 4 pieces and split it around the globe. And now that's the adventure. So here's some questions that Bryce asked. Because he's not here, but he asked some questions. One of them was, when, if ever, did you stray from the module as written, and how far? Yeah, not much. It was mainly... Anyone else want to read this to me? So it's like I'm not just talking to myself.
I can do that.
Okay.
So the first question again?
Do it in Bryce's voice.
Oh God. Okay.
No,
I can do this. I can do this. I say as I scroll too far. Hold on.
The first one was how far do we stray? And the answer was really just the pseudo dragon part. What were you the most upset we missed finding? You didn't really miss much.
I found the text. I can read it now.
Okay.
Which part were we on? How did our newbie enjoy it?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Yep. Perfect adventure.
Although back to the previous question, it seems like we did miss part of the final section of like the observatory.
Yeah, you didn't go there, but that's why I kind of summed it up near the end. Because really it was just like hints to do the like the puzzle on the ground. And that was kind of like what was in that bridge that you had to activate. And the other section was just where the other kobolds lived. And you would have to deal with them if you went in that direction. So you actually didn't miss much.
If I remember right, there were a few items to help give us an advantage.
Yeah, like you find like the lightning resistance potion or something.
Yeah.
Which the dragon never ended up doing lightning breath because my rolls were horrible.
Yeah.
No.
And I also think the map was scaled up too much. because the block said every block is 5 feet, but like in Roll20, every block was 10 feet, which seemed to scale pretty well with the artwork. But then like the dragon was so far away that he couldn't do anything. Like when you bind him to the ground, it's like his lightning breath wouldn't even have hit you. So I don't know. I'm not sure which one was supposed to be. I guess the book said 5 feet, and that's what it wasn't. That's what it wasn't. So anyway, let's start with number 1. If not Bryce could.
I think this was too short for a starter set. There wasn't enough time to play with your neat level 3 stuff, and not all characters even get neat stuff until later. Additionally, 4th level usually gets a feat which is fun to have and use. That's my Bryce.
Okay, you're exactly right, Bryce. Yeah, I've talked before. You didn't spend enough time at level 3, and that's where a lot of classes get their cool stuff. And yeah, playing with feats are always fun. Level 5 is always fun because you get extra attacks. It was good for this is a short adventure. But I think a starter set should be a little longer. Actually, ShortStack, how do you think this compares to the other game we played, the Sunless Citadel, which was again a level 1 through 3 module, but it was more like a dungeon crawl, like an old school dungeon crawl.
Yeah, well, things made more sense there because it was more linear. Each encounter was led into the other. It made sense a bit more. I already said linear, but linear.
Yeah, there's something nice about exploring, and you might run into a powerful enemy because in that game you actually like bypass a couple parts that could have like monsters in it.
Go us.
Yeah, it's definitely progression in a game like Sunless Citadel where you have the kobold levels, you fight the goblins, help the kobolds, you do some mini quests for them, like find the little dragon, and then when you get, oh sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
Then you go deeper and like you start to learn more of the deeper plot about what the bad guy's doing and how it connects with everything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I would, if I had to make a comparison, our previous campaign would be like Columbo, where you could figure out the end by the end.
Mm-hmm.
And our current campaign is like Murder, She Wrote, where the end came out of nowhere.
I disagree. Yeah.
And it had Urky.
Yeah.
Urky, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this chapter-based like campaigns like this where they're kind of not connected and then the end kind of comes out of nowhere. Because we played the Dragon of Icespire Peak on this podcast, and it was similar to this, but it was a lot longer, where you do have these kind of random quests. But then eventually they do kind of interconnect where you realize that these cultists are kind of behind some bad stuff happening, and it kind of ends with you disrupting this cult, exploring some areas, and then but your ultimate goal is always there's a dragon that's attacking the town, so you have to go take care of it. So at least in that case, there's always a goal of the end goal is to fight that dragon. In the meantime, you have to solve some other little problems. And I think that worked a lot better than this one.
For sure.
Because like you said, it seemed like, well, how are we supposed to know that that observatory is like the end goal for this campaign? And there's a little bugger dragon there that's doing a ritual. It's like there's nothing leading up to it.
Yeah. I'm glad you get my comparisons.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's very much like that.
I wonder what would have happened if the wizard in our party would had a a desire to go to there since day one because they were looking for their friend. What would have happened if we ended up beelining directly towards the observatory?
Well, I think that's why there's a bridge that required a key.
Go for a Sierra point and click at wall block.
Yeah.
We had to solve 2 or 3 puzzles before we got the needed item.
So I do think each one of the chapters were good. Like I thought, like especially the sunken ship, I liked a lot. With the undead and the zombies, and the harpies. Like the cave, the mushroom cave was also pretty good. And the observatory was good for like a little like boss fight. There's not a lot of stuff going on there, so I do like the individual locations, but yeah, like it didn't seem like a cohesive campaign. What does number 2 say? I think we kind of covered most of this in the first section. It's like he did like Bryce did like the kind of the home base that you go back to each time, so you don't have to worry about traveling and sleeping and stuff like that. That's the way it kind of was in Icespire Peak too. You had this town you went back to after every mission, or you had like a somewhere else you could stay. So yeah, it was good to have a place to go back to.
There and back again.
Yep, he liked how like you do the the whole 2 quests you get to do them in either order. He liked that, even though I kind of asked you beforehand like which one you wanted to do, so I could prepare for it. He says, I haven't made an opinion on the final battle yet. I don't know if finding him sleeping made it too easy, or if we were smart enough to activate easy mode. I think that we were good players, and Revy entangling opening was genius, but the dragon could have passed. So combining a crit fail from Portent was devastating, giving Cal and everyone else advantage, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I definitely had fun with that final battle. Do you think but I think you all would admit it wasn't very challenging.
Yeah, but that is one of the best the best lessons of D&D in all, that when the dice decide to hate somebody, it is going to hate them very much.
Yeah, I almost made.
It's usually the players, but this time it was the boss.
Yeah, so this I almost I should make the dragon be awake. So the opportunity isn't there for them to completely decimate him in one round.
We did manage to successfully bypass the kobolds by through social interaction. So if they ended up starting to fight or something, I could see to have awoken the dragon. But we did kind of sneak up on him.
Yeah, so I kind of like that he was sleeping, because it gives here's some what do your players do in this situation? Because you could have solved the puzzle with the statues and rescued the bronze dragon or before that and everything. So I think that's why he was sleeping and not just automatically attacking you. But yeah, it definitely was okay, he caught me in this since he was sleeping. He got caught being tangled up from the very beginning and couldn't do anything basically the entire combat. Which is good for the players. So that's why actually there was an optional thing saying if the players left the observatory and came back, or they never rescued the bronze wormling, then Spark Render would do his ritual in the main room. So I said, okay, I'll just have him do the ritual in the main room, and then everything will be good. Have a good boss fight, and it's kind of the same thing. It's he just kind of got swarmed down by all the players. He wasn't really able to do much. If I had to change something, I would put some hostile kobolds along with the fight, because having adds, having additional monsters to fight always makes things a little bit more challenging, because the boss can have a round or two doing their own thing while they're fighting the minions.
Too bad we schmoozed all of them.
Yep, too bad they all like you. So if I had to change one thing, I would put some of the hostile kobolds in there that are like really loyal to the dragon. Kind of would have made the fight a little more dynamic. But usually the first time I run things, I like to do it by the book. And unfortunately, that means sometimes it's a little underwhelming. I'm definitely a fan of multi-person boss fights. Of like multiple enemy boss fights, because they get to do a little more stuff.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Or would you like to wait until after Bryce's thing?
I think that was about it. That was number 4.
Okay. What was your proudest moment of us? What was your favorite part of the story?
I really like the harpy fight.
Yeah, that turned out great.
I just loved when ShortStack, your character, did the insect swarm when the harpy was on the edge of the boat, and so it was all random. I didn't do this on purpose.
Of course.
So it has insect swarm, and they run in a random direction. It's like,
yeah, I
well,
believe I rolled a 6 for that. So
yeah, so it's like,
I mean,
okay, there's like a 1 in 5 chance this will happen. Yeah, the harpy ran right into the water. And that was a lot of fun, and like being on the crow's nest was some fun stuff too. That was my favorite fight of the game eventually, but it was my proudest moment.
well,
Charm spells always make a fight more interesting.
Yeah, like that's why I like that fight, because it does have something like a charm which can disrupt players. And there was 2 harpies that kind of made it more dynamic that way.
Yeah.
I mean, she's putting me on the spot now. If I can't think of anything, it's like I was disappointed.
Well, here, let me ask everybody else then. Bun, Miranda, what were your favorite parts of the story?
Ladies first.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Bun first.
I take down. I think my favorite was the stuff you ended up adding to it. Really, the pseudo dragon was an interesting little touch. It ended up mixing very well with the written material, and it also fulfills the ultimate true goal to any D&D party: to have pets.
Exactly.
Yep, people want to get pets. That's one thing I added to Dragon of Icespire Peak is there needs to be something to do in between adventures.
Yeah.
So in that game, I added like a gang that was kind of where the town had to give like protection money to, and they're kind of like slowly taking everything over. And like that was kind of a subplot of that game where just something to do in between the quests, because otherwise it would just be, okay, you wake up, time to go to the quest board and do a quest. But in this case, like, it wasn't a lot, but I think adding the pseudo dragon just gave a little bit of of something that happens. It's like something that happened in between the chapters, and that the players can get attached to. So,
Have anything yet?
Just in general. Okay.
I think my proudest moment is when you got the pseudo dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Little cranberry.
Printed on you.
Ruby is just like that. Oh my god, you're so adorable!
Because I'm like that. You're so cute.
Yeah. Oh, you have the birds, so it's probably like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically how you actually do your birds.
Well, I didn't sing the pseudo dragon little name songs, so that's the only difference. But still,
okay. Randy, think of anything in this average adventure, but very fun time playing, do you think of a part that you enjoyed the most?
Actually, the thing that's really coming to my mind is a really good storytelling beat you had when we were on the boat and the last zombie upstairs got killed and fell down the hole.
Oh, that was just fun, yeah.
And you just had to get chopped up, and it was very foreboding.
Yeah, so I was like, wait a minute, this hole goes down to where this other monster is. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. So you're looking down, and then you see the body just disappear, and then a splatter of blood. I was like, oh, that's great. But very disgusting. Yeah, things like that is there when things like that like aren't in the book, but when you realize like, oh, this is a good like storytelling moment, it really adds to a lot. Because like then you know there's something bad down there, and like you're worried about what it is. So like that's why I had some characters do like perception checks, because it's like, oh, it's like you notice some splashing behind you, but it's too dark to see what it is. You see the remains of a zombie hand float in the water. It's like things like that.
Mm.
Right. So I think that kind of sums it up. So like I said before, I think if I got everyone's opinions right, good adventure, could have been a little longer. Chapters were fun, but not very cohesive.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite starter set still remains the very first one, the Lost Mines of Phandelver, because it really does feel like an entire D&D campaign within 5 levels. So that really gives you a taste of what D&D was back in 2013. Because I think their philosophies kind of changed a little bit to be more, because like a lot of their books lately have been very chapter based, like this was, not a lot of exploration. You kind of set down the road or the path that's given to you. And I think that's been happening a little less and less with some of their newer books.
Waterdeep has it was pretty good as well, but it was much more complex as well.
Yeah,
and definitely not something for a newer a DM to play if they're as fresh as the players that are joining as well.
Yeah, so we played a campaign called Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and really fun game, but there's a lot the DM has to do in between, especially in the early parts, to like make the world feel a little more alive, because the book only gives you like vague suggestions about like, oh, maybe this point you can do this or this, and then at some point the adventure like starts to happen. The game I'm about to run for another group is it's kind of like that, where the in between parts, like this kind of leads up to the DM to decide what happens, which is a good and bad thing, because I can be more dynamic, more personalized, but I have to really think about what I want to do it all on my own.
And you'll just have to watch and find out, audience.
Yeah, so tune in for that one. So I want to thank all the players, ShortStack, Miranda, Bun, Bryce, for playing this module with me.
Absolutely. It was a blast, honestly.
Yeah.
Everybody was gem.
Thank you so much for the invite and for everybody for playing.
Yep. And that's always the case. Even though we kind of have our complaints about the module itself, it always comes down to, it's just always fun playing games like this with friends. So that's why, like I said in the game, like both of you are definitely invited to new things we do. We just have to work out what game it is and what players are going to be involved.
And the most difficult part of any D&D campaign, schedules.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Real life.
Yeah. Like I do think that other star set will be good one to play. I don't really like running stuff twice, especially if they're kind of long. But if enough time has passed, it can be kind of fresh. So we'll see about all that. Plus, we have another DM in our group. But again, thank you for joining us on this podcast, and listening to the game and playing in the game. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
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 And you all level up.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Again?
Level 20.
Woohoo! Finally.
Yeah. What took 5 games?
God, too long. Come on, man.
That was one line that I liked out of most of the campaign when you pointed out that Bryce's character has spent 70 years at level 1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Over a weekend, he has gained 3 levels.
It's always funny when there's like older characters. It's like actually in Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team.
Yes.
Yeah, you saw like Rosie,
Mm-hmm.
the halfling monk who's your grandma's grandma, or not your grandma's grandma, but on the rare occasions that she is. The justification they kind of gave of why she's level 1 is that like she's kind of starting a new life as like this monk. So like that's why she's level 1 in kind of like a gameplay sense. It's like she's lived for 100 years, but she's like starting this new part of her life, and that's why she's level 1.
Could also say they're out of shape, right? Or they haven't been doing anything for a few years.
Yeah. Wonder if the Acquisitions Incorporated game would be good for you guys.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I love AI.
Yeah, like in a short stack, you like AI. Miranda, you ever hear of Acquisitions Incorporated?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah,
They're
that's the
a good, fun D&D podcast to listen to, like on YouTube.
yeah, they're the Penny Arcade.
Oh.
They're kind of one of the first like live D&D games.
Yeah, yeah, like 10 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, they're actually like they predate Critical Role and all that. That's how I kind of got into D&D, is listening to them.
Yeah, no, same here.
I think the first one I ended up listening to was Unforgotten Realms.
I know my friend Dustin likes Dimension 20.
Yeah, they have a hilarious series where it's called D&D High, where you're all of the characters are basically at an adventurer's high school.
Mm-hmm. What I'll be worried about if I ran the Acting Adventure is like, oh, can I be funny as Jerry Holkins? I don't think so.
There's also Dungeons and Daddies, where
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Basically a bunch of parents and their kids end up traveling to a D&D world in a station wagon, and all the kids end up getting captured and taken away, and now all the dads have to find them and stuff, and it's funny.
There's one show I was watching because I was like, they just started Strixhaven 2, so I was like, oh, maybe I should watch them, see how they do the first part of the game. And that's Dork Tales. They're pretty good. And me and Bun really like XP Level 3. Yeah, Arcane Arcade.
Oh man, you guys are gonna have to type some of this out.
Yeah.
Because I won't remember, and I would love to listen to more D&D podcasts.
Well, if you go to anchor.fm/lfrogdnd, I will link you to Arcane Arcade because they're really good. But I think if you want to listen to some of our old shows, you may enjoy them too.
Yeah.
Especially the one me and Bun were in that Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I think you would like that one. We had some fun on that one. Okay, so
That one was
now
very heavy roleplay.
yeah, a lot of role play until it wasn't. Until we were doing a lot of fights.
It was all roleplay until it was real.
Yeah, and then the one we just finished, the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It's like, no offense to you guys, but that one was my favorite game so far.
Yay!
Sorry, you didn't quite reach the level of that 25 episode game.
You mean in our 4 episodes?
Yeah, that was 6 to be fair.
To
All
be fair, it was only 6.
It was only 6. Yeah, in one game we only played for 2 hours. Anyway, thanks everyone.
For sure.
And see you around. Yeah, see you around for next game.
Yeah, ta-ta, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
And we're done. Oh, everyone left. Usually when I say goodbye, you stick around.
Did you not want us to leave?
No, this is usually when I end the podcast. It's like,
oh,
it's. I mean, it's usually in the past. It's not that everyone logs off. It's just that we're done recording.
Okay. Well, I thought you had finished recording a little bit ago.
Oh no, kind of. But then I realized this was kind of a good discussion too.
Sneaky.
Oh no, I was still in my podcast cadence.
Oh,
thank you.
Okay. I'll have to remember that for next time.
I mean, Bun left too, so did. We're still recording. I should keep this in.